Well, we have the system all set up. We're going to have to reposition where the foot switch goes. The wire's not quite long enough, so I'll find another connector and some more wire, and we'll move that. But right now, the pressure test should work just fine, so give it a shot, Irene.
So I just push it and hold it, or push it?
Just push it once.
Cool.
That's all there is to it.
On the surface.
Go ahead and give it a shot, Irene.
Okay. Click.
Now you think that might be a pedal that you push by hand on the
Yeah, I
table?
was trying to remember. I've watched people use similar equipment, not from China so much as from Italy, which is a fancier piece of equipment. Some of those can even read RFID chips. But I seem to recall them just hitting something on the surface. That way they didn't have to worry about anything on the ground or anything like that, because you do have to be careful when you have something on the floor, always. Some people will set, if they're going to be seated, will set something up as a knee switch. But I think it'd be just as handy to have it on the surface as a hand switch.
It's probably safer in the studio.
Yeah, well, it is. It's not another thing on the floor. I try and keep the floor swept and all that kind of stuff, but I also try not to put too much extra down on the floor. In fact, a couple of the foot switches I do have are removed off the floor when I'm not actually using them, because it's just too tempting to trip over them.
Now all I have to do is get the vacuum plumbed into this thing, and we should be ready to start trying some molds.
Cool. Very cool. Then we'll have to check and see. I'll have to pull up some of the wax and melt it and all that other good happy stuff.
So we'll try it up here first.
I suppose we can. I really don't like trying things like this in the house, because if something goes wrong, I don't want wax all over the dining room. But it does need to be repainted, so I suppose we could look at it that way. But we'll see. We'll see about temperatures outside. We'll see about weather in general and all that stuff this week. I have a lot to do.
And we have some jigs to hold various molds that has to be made to work on the clamp.
I'm going to need to make a bunch of jigs. They give you enough supplies for one jig. I won't say that's useless, but that's kind of not particularly helpful. So we'll have to get some more, and they don't give you glue to do it with unless you never showed me the glue.
No glue.
Okay. So
it's kind of like the converters for the various size of airline.
Yeah. You're supposed to just go abracadabra and it's going to work, right?
Exactly. Press it again. Let's watch it one more time.
Okay.
Not enough air in the reservoir.
Nope. Because that one's, yeah.
And the error code just told you
I
that.
just got an error code, yeah. Not enough air.
All right, well, let's shut it all down.
Cool.
First, the switch on the big unit, on the right-hand side, on the front.
Okay.
Now the air clamp controller on the back.
Right there.
Ta-da.
Ta-da! More progress.
Don't be too helpy. Don't be too helpy. Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres. And as you can see, I am back in the greenhouse. Now, in these 3 pots, we have the plants that I direct seeded. And on some seed trays over here, I have the seedlings that I have been growing in the dining room. Now they have really outgrown my space in the dining room, so it is time to move them in here. They should be safe at night here. If I'm really concerned, sorry, it's a little warm in here. I'm not used to warmth. Yes. Anyway, the seedlings from the dining room should be safe in here. If I am concerned at any point, I can always throw row covers over them to protect them. Each layer of row covers is usually expected to provide at least 3 degrees of improvement. Depending on the weight of the row cover, it could be providing more than that. So that's my theory. We have, right now, radishes, seaside spinach, and Tarek, which is kohlrabi. I'm going to bring up a tray of seedlings, and I'm going to start planting them out into these pots. Small tray first, just makes it easier. Now, what do we have here? We have Marathon, which is broccoli, Sweet Stem, which is broccoli, Sweet Stem, which is broccoli, Green Magic, it's also broccoli, Sweet Stem is there, that's broccoli, Green Magic, and Marathon, and Marathon. Now, I was very careful when I planted these to make sure that I labeled everything because I did not want any mystery plants. One of the big reasons I did not want any mystery plants is because we want to compare the flavors and the productivity of these various plants. We have our favorite one, it's down there, is Atlantis. It has been discontinued, so the one I have bought as a replacement for it is Sweet Stem. And I want to see, is it as good as they say it is? Because they say it's going to be really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant the sweet stems. There's 3 of them here. I'm going to plant them in one of these pots. And I'm sort of experimenting because one of the things I have figured out with these kind of droopy plants is that if you kind of plant them in a say 3 of them in a pot, in a triangle, and you kind of edge them towards the edges and let them droop, well, you could get a lot more plants in a pot than you would think. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is plant out my sweet stem. And I'm going to put them in a pot that I've got sitting up on top of another pot over here. One of the reasons I'm going to do that is because it's simply, this bottom pot gives me like a table. And tables sometimes are good for your back when they've had enough work for the day. Now, I have a fork thing I was using in here. Where'd my fork thing go? Magic fork thing, where are you? I had to paint the handle on that some strange color so that I could spot it. I was just using it. Oh no! My fork thing has disappeared. Seriously, guys? There it is. I am a big fan of handles that are like neon orange, things like that, because otherwise it's way too easy sometimes to have them just sort of similarly disappear. So I am going to take, I should have, should being the operative word, a couple of the small dibbles in here. And I don't know whether I accidentally put some of this stuff away down in the studio or what, but I've spent the last week looking around for things, and I have no idea what happened to some of the things that I was looking for. Well, I have a tiny little guy here. He's not tiny enough to use as a dibble, but he'll work today. This is just a teeny little trowel. These are usually used for like planting bulbs. This is ancient. One of the reasons you can tell it was ancient is it says made in Canada. And I don't think I've seen any tools sold in the United States that were made in Canada in a while. And something tells me I had a set of like 3 or 4 of these, you know, super narrow, wider one, and then a fork. I think the fork broke at some point. But these are like cast aluminum or something. And they're perfectly fine. So, stab. Let's get the sweet stems in here. And like I said, I am going to plant them around the edges of this pot. Ooh, it's good. This is perfect. I like it when, let me see if I can show you guys this. I like it when the roots have just sort of arrived on the outside, but not really started to tangle yet. It means I've sort of hit the sweet spot in terms of it's got a good root system. It's going to be happy to go into a new pot. Those little roots that are on the surface will be ready to just absolutely jump and go somewhere else. But I haven't gotten it all root bound yet. Perfect. Let's see if the other guys are as lucky. Yep. Just starting to scoot around on the surface a little bit, so that's great. Again, I'm planting these right out towards the edge of the pot, so that I can actually kind of let them fall out of the pot in terms of their space. They'll be doing this instead of smushing in the middle. I'm going to label every single one of them so that I am totally aware of what they are. There are very few things, to me, more frustrating than not being certain what the variety is that I happen to really like, or that I don't like, or that attracts bugs more than some other variety or some silly thing. So, yeah. We're going to plant this guy over here. And I will probably not show you this process because it's not super exciting. But once I'm done with this, all of these guys are going to be watered in, and they'll probably get a little bit of micro boost and some 20-20-20. Nothing fancy, just something really light. These I may just water in for now. These definitely need the micro boost, and the yeah, these over here will get the micro boost and the 20-20-20. In case you're wondering what this is my new fashion statement. It's called the dog treat holder, and since Rufus is right in the middle of learning manners, it's easy to just have this attached to me pretty much all day. If I'm wearing my cardigan sweater inside the house or something, this fits in the pocket nicely, because I really would rather have treats in this thing than in my pocket. I do check everything before it goes in the laundry, but still, I don't know. I've never been a big a big fan of crunchy things in my pockets. So that takes care of those guys. I am going to save the easy access locations like this for some of the plants that we're going to eat more quickly. So this I'm going to put some broccoli down in. And I've got 3 marathons here and 2 green magics. So I think what I'm going to do, push that pot over. I like having what I call foot space between pots so that I could scooch into places. And sometimes I don't have that luxury during the summer when everything's really crammed in here. But for now I do. So I think we'll put the green, we'll put the marathon in here. So there's a marathon, there's a marathon, and there's a marathon. Now, there's 2 main kinds of broccoli that I'm planting. Things like marathon and green magic are what I'd call pretty traditional broccolis. They will produce a fairly large center head, and then they will produce some side shoots. The sweet stem that I planted over there is what they call a baby broccoli. So if you've ever gone to a fancy restaurant and they have the really nice little broccoli florets sort of things. Excuse me, Rufus, you have to not help, okay? I'm sorry. You have to not help. Rufus hasn't learned about gardening yet. He doesn't know you're not supposed to, like, do things with plants. And he hasn't learned much about garden beds yet either, because they just came out from under the snow for the first time. Hi, you need to stop sniffing my broccoli. Okay, dude? And I'm afraid you're going to chomp it or something silly. I know you like broccoli. You've eaten some before. But his favorite thing is when Henry gets a, those little mandarin oranges that they call cuties. Yeah, he loves those. He will sit there waiting very patiently for Henry to peel the orange, and then he gets a half of a slice sort of a thing, you know? And he thinks that's the best thing ever. So it's very funny. I think that he was the first day he was with us, he had his first mandarin orange slice, and he thought that was the most wonderful thing ever. So, hey, you know, it's healthy. Won't hurt him. We give our dogs and cats and stuff. Anybody that wants it can have that sort of stuff. Now, what else do we have here? There's 2 green magic. I think those are the only 2 green magic I have. Yeah, I hear you over there, cough, cough, coughing. Yeah, these are mostly cabbages and pak choi.